So, what an awesome day. Just to watch our players at the end, and I told them last night, as you get older and you get joy from others, especially your children, which players a lot of times are similar, and I just wanted them to get to 1-0 today. So just like every time we've been in the stadium, to watch them go over there to the fans with the Egg Bowl trophy and be able to celebrate that alone, just winning the Egg Bowl. And then on top of that, for them to win 11 regular season games. And we talk a lot about, Coach Carroll used to say, do things better than they were ever done before. And they just did that. No one in the entire state's ever had 11 win regular season. So that's pretty cool, especially in the SEC's never been harder and deeper than it is now. So that's an amazing accomplishment by them. And I know the storyline about distractions all week and stuff, and I would just say, and I'm going to say during the week, we build our teams differently. So what you may think is distracting, as I understand our fan base or media, I don't think it is. And we train our guys from the beginning when we get them and build our teams to focus on what they can control and block out noise. And shoot, the last play, FAU, we play our last game there. That morning there's an announcement, that we're coming here, actually. And, we're in the conference championship that day, so all our players know next year, and we go out and win 49-6 in the game. So I think we just train our players that way. I wasn't concerned this week, and they've been doing it for a month, so I would say maybe what, we teach our players and our staff a lot of times, that what you think might be really bad might be good. And so maybe you should think the other way, that all that distraction and all the noise outside bonds them together because they know their team, their coach, their coaches, and so they don't worry about that stuff. And everybody says, well, they're going to be distracted, they're not going to play well, or they should want a different coach. I think bonds them together to stay focused and to play really well. And I'm not the coach, for those who we got a lot of people here today, but the ones that cover us, if the field goal goes in at the end and you just win some game or get some call by a ref, I'm not one to say that means you played extremely well that day. Our guys played well, whatever, probably 24, 10 or 13 run, once we get that last touchdown at the end of the first half. And if you're distracted and you don't have 0 negative plays the entire day on offense, not one play, not a sack, not a turnover, not a negative run for a yard, that's players executing really well and doing great. So really happy for them, and it's a heck of an accomplishment. They did something no one's ever done before, and they did it in a really good style today. They played clean football, kind of said at halftime, and our programs are built different. We build players to execute and play really well. Like they say down locked, we want to make Sports Center for making good plays, not try to make Sports Center for starting fights. So that was disappointing earlier in the game, but I was really proud of our players, how their players all left their bench, including their AD, and our players stayed on our bench, like they're coached to do. So play football, and they did that today.
Lane, Keith released that statement last week saying that there's going to be an announcement by tomorrow on your future. Have you made any sort of decision yet?
Yeah, I haven't. Maybe that surprised you. But I guess I gotta do some praying and figure this thing out. I know today, I can get to that tomorrow. I live life about one day at a time. Maybe that doesn't help you, but I've learned to live that way for about 6 years now, 5 years, and that helps me. And so today it was all about these players performing really well and keeping the Egg Bowl trophy where it belongs. And then, tonight I'm gonna go be a dad and watch a more important game to me, and watch Knox play in the North Division for North State Championship versus Tupelo tonight. So Coach Cutcliffe, senior, he was on the sidelines last week of the game, And he walked over. He's like, "Man, isn't this like harder than, more intense than being the head coach in the games?" I'm like, "No, it's not." But it's more enjoyable. So I'm excited for that tonight. I mean, what a Fisher Ray, one of our assistants, said a couple weeks ago. Man, he's like, if this thing played out, man, you could be 11-1, win the Egg Bowl on the exact same day. If they kept winning, and Knox would be playing the North State Division or North State Championship. It's an awesome day. I'm very fortunate. Got a lot of really good things in my life. Thanks to God.
Do you plan on making a decision tomorrow?
I feel like I got to. I mean, so probably not as enjoyable as people probably think it is. But like Kirby says, when he wants to complain about being in the national championship and missing the portal window, it's like there's no crying from the yacht. So I'm not trying to get pity, but it's not as enjoyable as maybe some people would think.
Does winning today and making the playoff make it more difficult to win?
I think it's difficult no matter what. I think that there is a relief that we played like I thought I would, like I thought they would today. I did think they would play like this, and but you never know. And so I am relieved for that, because if we didn't play well today, we all know what the storyline would be. It'd be my fault for having them distracted and stuff. So I'm really glad that we proved that narrative, which is a fair narrative for people to write, and I think a lot of our fans felt that way this week. Understandable, but they don't know our room, and they don't know how we train them and how they think.
Late after the game, at one point, it looked like you were admiring the Ole Miss crowd. There was a lot of powder blue in that side of the stadium. What was going through your mind in that moment?
Just over the years, and then like, just really cool. That's so what, third time we've been here, third time emptying out their stadium, and then watching Matt Corral do it, in that game, and then Jackson Dart, and then watching Trinidad carry that trophy, and I'm like, I said that when I said to him, like, this is just gives me so much joy to see them be able to do something like this, and so to watch these guys come together, like they came from everywhere. I mean, I should probably know this, but I bet you on offense we don't have any players that play from the state of Mississippi. Think about that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we have any. So that's a different story, that you have to have in-state players to win. But think about that. So they came from all over the place to come together to do this, to win, and then bring joy to all the fans, which are from Mississippi, mostly, I assume. It's just a really cool story, and you can't get a better story than Trinidad. You guys in Division II playing in front of 500 people, and today he goes for 359 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, and some critical runs in a rivalry game that records don't mean anything when you go into them. They're not going to come out flat today. They never do. And so, and they did a lot. They put zero at them a ton of times, and tried to hit the big plays, and a lot of times they just held, as you saw. But Trinidad did some really good things today.
Right, has there been some frustration over the last couple of weeks? I saw you post-game. There was an incident right before you went into the locker room, and it just seemed like you were a little bit upset maybe about some things that have come out over the last couple of weeks, or how things have gone the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think, I understand you guys' job, and I think things are fair. Like I say, when questions come, those are fair questions. Maybe I can't answer them. Maybe I don't see them the same. But when you call someone a hoe, that's a different level of stuff. Can't make hoes into housewives, or something like that. That's about as Bush League as stealing Trinidad's jersey, like Mississippi State did last night. Luckily we had another one, but so I ain't got any respect for that.
I don't either, but that wasn't the comment. The comment was, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife host, don't act right. It's not calling you a hoe, it's about commitment. And that's what really the question is. You wanted the commitment from people were asking about where you're committed to, and you're still not doing that. So you don't think there's anything wrong with getting upset about something so innocuous as that, paying attention after a win, especially in the Egg Bowl?
Yeah, let's move on from that. Next question.
Lane, what's the most?
I actually don't even know your name.
Lane, what's the most difficult part of the decision that you have to make? Is there one aspect of it that you labor over the most?
lot into it, and I don't, you know, it's hard decisions. You guys have them all the time. You got to make decisions about, you know, jobs you take and where you move and all those things. And again, we get paid a lot, so understands ours is, you know, under a different spotlight and scrutiny. But, you know, a lot of people that are critical of it are the same people that they do it all the time. They make decisions, and you know, they got to figure out the best things to do. In other professions, it's a little easier because you get to go to places, and you know, they bring you there and you go for a weekend. You see all the schools and neighborhoods and all the stuff, and then you make the decision. And, you know, our jobs are more difficult that way, but I'm not complaining about it.
Is there a certain number of people maybe that you rely on or you can call as you're going through something like this? Said you were gonna be a dad tonight,
Yeah.
later tonight, probably have to make a decision in the morning. I'm not asking you to give out names, but do you have a group of people that you can rely on for something like this?
Yeah, I do. You know, I miss my dad. Absolutely. You know, I really missed him this week. And so, you know, my two calls will be the closest to that from advice, what my dad would say to do on these things. And that'll be Coach Carroll and Coach Saban. Kind of wish when you had things to do in life that your dad wasn't there, but or your dad was there. But that's what it is.
Lane, when the polls come out on Tuesday, do you think this team is deserving of a college football playoff host in Oxford?
Yeah, I would think absolutely. I mean, you go 11-1 in the SEC, and you know and I'm not politicking. I think that should be an obvious hosting a game. I think depending on what other games go, you're in a conversation of are you even up there even higher. So, yeah, I don't know how you wouldn't be hosting the game at minimum at 11-1, and your one loss, you're ahead by a couple scores, right, going into the fourth quarter about at Georgia, hard place to play. So, I would certainly think that I wasn't even planning on politicking more, because I would think that would be a given. And shoot, we could have a whole different narrative here of, you know, Texas and Auburn win their home games. Two really hard places to play, man. So maybe Texas wins today, and we're all watching the Iron Bowl, and we all know in Jordan Hare, magical things happen. So maybe Jordan Hare sends to the SEC championship.
Lane, you said you got to make a decision tomorrow.
Maybe it's because in the past maybe we've taught DJ Durkin and Nick some things, and then now maybe it's gonna help us. Didn't think about that.
You said you got to make a decision tomorrow. Could you narrow it down for us in terms of time frame? Are you talking about in the morning, in the afternoon, evening? What is in your mind in terms of time frame?
Yeah, I'm very fair question. I don't know.
Okay.
Or maybe I should. I don't. Again, I don't. Maybe crazy with all the attention on it. I'm happy for our players. I'm gonna
I
go.
got it.
I'm gonna go watch my son play. Layla already. She didn't understand that media. She already sent Cookie up here to say, "Can we get going?"
Get going.
Tell him Lane's late. And I'm like, "Well, we got to go do media."
Yeah.
So.
Do you have any reason to believe you would be allowed to coach Ole Miss in the playoff if you took another job?
That's not my call. I wouldn't know that. I don't know that.
Lane, you won the Egg Bowl for 5 of the last 6 years.
Kind of
This
forgot
isn't-
about that the last 10 minutes.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
I was gonna ask, what does it mean to have the trophy in your facility for another year?
It's awesome, you know, to keep that here. And, you know, we had Tom Luke speak to the team, like I said, during the week, like we always do. And it's my favorite speech. You know, he talks about it. They gave him a maroon-free SUV. He would still never drive it or get in it. And so, it was cool to bring him up at the end. He talked to the team too. So it's awesome. I know how much it means to so many people in this state. So regardless of maybe the week not going the way they wanted to our fans, and you get to brag for another year. You know, that you pretty handedly beat Mississippi State again.
Lane, would you have believed in the end of the 2020 season that you would win 50, your program would win 50 games over the next 5 years? If someone had told you that, what would you have assumed that would have meant?
Ooh, Rivalry sign up for. I think all of our fans and everybody sign up for that. Again, it's not just a lineman. That's a lot of really good players doing things and buying in. That may not be a lot of high draft picks, but that's a lot of players buying into, you know, the betterment of the team. Because we've seen these teams, everyone wants to say, well, okay, you just go build through the portal. That don't always work. We've seen plenty of portal teams not work, especially once they lose some. So these guys have come here over the years and really bought in and played for each other. It's cool today. You saw that left and right today.
Whether you're here or not, did I cut you off? Whether you're here or not, how big is it that this team has won their last 5 going into the playoffs?
I think big, back to committee question and stuff, like, you know, how are you finishing? You know, how are you playing at the end? And so, you know, maybe, like I said, maybe you can spin it the other way. Say, hey, what a great team, and everybody thinks they're so distracted with all of this stuff, you know, or says, you know, they're not going to be able to play well in the game, you know, and then they do for, like you said, whatever, 5 wins in a row. And shoot, since the tunnel in Oklahoma, you know, we've dealt with fans chanting things and yelling things. So I think it's cool. You know, it's just like winning on the road, man. When you go, everybody says this is going to happen. It's not going to be this way, and then players overcome and do that and play really clean football. It's really neat.
Rick mentioned, Lane, how that was probably the most powder blue he's seen in the stadium Davis Wade ever before. What did you think of the fan base and the way they showed up and, you know, staying till the end and the belts and everything? It just seemed like a good turnout for Ole Miss fans.
It was awesome. I noticed right from the beginning. I always kind of look at the crowd when we're on the road and see if they're full for their people and then for ours. And I've turned around a couple times to notice that. And I think it's awesome when that happens. You know, much like the Tennessee game here. You know, when they came here, that just, I think that affects the other team. And when you see and you look up and you're like, man, you got all these fans here in our home stadium. So it was awesome, and glad that we were able to give them a good feeling. Because I can't imagine that drive back would be really good. And then whenever you play an early game, let alone at 11 a.m. on Saturday, let alone a whole day early or the Thursday games, they're like, we're so much difference between winning and losing, because your whole weekend is affected by that. You got to watch these other games and go, man, why didn't we win that game? So I think they're in, you know, I would hope be in a good mood. Now you get to go watch other people, you know, play games.
It seemed like
Last one.
Zach Selman kind of got into it for a second. Did he say something that you thought may have provoked what happened there in the first half?
No, I don't think Zach did at all. I was just saying to Zach, first of all, I didn't know why the athletic director was out on the field, but irrelevant. I just said to Zach, man, this is what we talked about with the officials before the game. Like, we train our guys not to have this. I know it's been in the past. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe people don't like that I don't want our players fighting, because that's what used to happen here. And when I got here, I trained our players, we ain't doing that. And I know there's so many highlights over the years, and that means that you're so great because you punch the guy and stuff, but that's not how you're supposed to play football. It's not, in my opinion. In my opinion, I told our players all week, I want us to go execute really well. Let them punch you, let them hit you in the back, and then they can have that, and they can have that clip and put it on their highlight film someday how tough they are, and you just keep beating them and dominating them. And so I just said to Zach in that, like, this is what I'm talking about. Look at your team. Your whole team is out here during the game trying to fight, and our team's all standing over there. So that's what I said.
There's a chance that you're